All right, you guys, we're going to start our WEX lesson on how to write reflections. We've been doing a human body unit. We've done an Oregon Trail unit. We're going to try to reflect on what we've learned in those units today. So we're going to learn how to write a reflection. So take out your WEX journals, please, and pen or pencil. And I'll teach you how to do that. I've set up a web page on the website to show you how to do this. All right, kids. Can everyone see the board all okay? Yes?
The camera can't.
The camera can or not?
Not really, no.
Okay. Try to do your best. If you have to zoom in, do you know how to zoom in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. So, kiddos, here's what it says. We're going to first figure out what reflective writing is. After we know a little bit about what kind of genre reflective writing is, then we're going to learn about how to do reflective writing, and then I'm going to give you a chance to do it. So we'll do about a 10-minute lesson. We'll have a skill drill, and then we'll have the real thing. Sound good? All right. So first of all, reflective writing is different from the other kinds of writing we've done this year. We've done narrative. We've done, well, both fictional and personal narrative. We've done responding to literature, like in lit circles. Remember how we did it for My Side of the Mountain? Okay. And then we've also done little bits of persuasive writing during the energy debates and expository writing whenever we do research. This is reflective writing. It's different from all of those. So kids, let's read the bullets and see what some of these are. It's process, 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 okay? Really just listen and try to imagine some of these. Reflective writing is your response to experiences, opinions, events, or new information. You processing? Reflective writing is your response to thoughts and feelings. It's a way of thinking to explore your learning. It's an opportunity to gain self-knowledge, to learn more about what you know. It's a way to achieve clarity, make things more clear, and get a better understanding of what you're learning. Let's understand what we learned about the Oregon Trail and about the human body. All right? It's a chance to develop and reinforce your writing skills. It's a way of making meaning out of what you study. Okay? There are also a whole bunch of things that reflective writing is not. Are you ready to get to the different part of your brain where we're focusing on this is not reflective writing? The different part says it is not just conveying information or an instruction or an argument. It's not just telling me what you know. It's not that. Reflective writing is not just description, although you might have some description in your writing, but it's not just that. It's not straightforward decision or judgment. So it's not saying this was bad or this was good. It's varying levels of what was good and what was bad. It's got to be a little bit of both. Okay? Or how good was it? What specifically was good about it? Reflective writing is not just problem solving. And it's not a summary or any kind of essay. It's a reflection is something that you do to just try to think about your learning and say what was good or bad, what was hard or easy. Now you understand it? Okay, so now that we know what a reflective style of writing is, then let's focus on how we're going to do our reflective writing. We'll skip to this one, but you see there's other information on the webpage, right, kids? We won't do it all today. All right, when I researched this, because I really wanted to teach my kids how to do a good reflection, I found a couple different websites that were really helpful, but they were designed for college classes. So they're filled with gobbledygook. They're filled with words that don't make a lot of sense to fifth graders, although you guys are very advanced, I know. You probably would understand every little bit of it, but I'll probably teach this at the beginning of next year, so I want it to be understandable. So I took what they said, this is what they said, and I converted it into what I think would be more appropriate fifth grade language. Okay, so they have, it looks like 3 different steps, and they kind of have what to do and an example. Boys and girls, what to do? And then here's their example. But if you look at their examples, they're pretty complicated. Have you been glancing at that at all? If you look at that example, it's like they're college level examples. So I will show you what I've created. I'm calling it the Mr. Solar's version, right? This was still taken from a website, so this is a still gobbledygookish example, but today I'm going to use one of yours that we create to replace this. Do you understand? So you're going to have to deal with this hard, complicated one for today, but my future classes will not. You'll replace this one. That's good, right? It's a challenge. I want one of you guys to be a good one to put in there. But these are my words, so this should make sense. This is 5th grade language. I like to think that there are 4 steps to writing a good reflection. And I would like us all to practice these 4 steps today in our skill drill, and then these 4 steps today in our actual writing sample. So here's step number 1. Describe what happened or what you did. Now, our skill drill, kiddos, is going to be on the human body unit. So for just practice, we're going to describe, not yet, but we're going to describe what happened or what you did in the human body unit. Now that's pretty broad. That's a lot of stuff, isn't it? So we're going to have to come up with a statement, maybe like a 1-sentence statement that explains what we did over the course of the human body unit that summarizes it well. For your actual journal writing, we're going to do the Oregon Trail simulation. Do you guys understand? Our skill drill is the human body one. You're going to practice with that. If it's not perfect, that's okay. But for our actual journal writing, we're going to do the Oregon Trail simulation. Are your minds getting wrapped around the ideas of this? Yeah. Okay. So we'll have to come up with a 1-sentence or 2-sentence description of what we did in the human body unit and in the Oregon Trail unit. 2 separate reflections. So far, so good? Yeah. All right. Try not to be thinking about what you're going to write. Try to be thinking about how this works. So step 1, done. A description. Very general, very quick. That is not my important step. That's just giving enough background to the reader so they know what you're about to talk about. Step 2 starts to get really, really important. Step 2 says to interpret how things went along with your learning. How did the learning go? By using one or more of these sets of terms. Kiddos, you have to use one or more of these sets of terms. You have to either have strengths and weaknesses of learning about the human body or learning about the Oregon Trail simulation. Successes and setbacks. So a success, is something that you were very happy about. I really learned a lot about this. I did great with this. This was very successful. A setback is this was really tough for me. This frustrated me. This was confusing. I had trouble with this sort of aspect. That's a setback. Do you know how they're opposites? Successes and setbacks? Okay. Or you can use one or more of these words. Something was meaningful, significant, important, relevant, or useful. You can use one or more of those words. I prefer you try to stick with one of these 2, but if you focus on some of these words, that can be very valuable as well. Boys and girls, do you see how you have to use one of these 3 bullets at least? You have to have either strengths and weaknesses. You can't have one or the other. You have to have both. Successes and setbacks. You can't have one or the other. You have to have both. Or one or more of these words. Meaningful, significant, important, relevant, or useful. That makes sense? Yeah. All right, don't lose me. 2 more steps. Step 3. After you talk about what was hard, what was easy, what was positive, what was negative, what was a strength of mine and what was a weakness of mine, whatever. Once you're done with that, we're going to ask you to respond to what have you learned due to this experience. So this and this was hard, this and this was easy, but I learned over the course of this unit blank, 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 blank. Hopefully a lot of stuff. And I don't mean little facts here, kiddos. This is where 5th graders sometimes will write, I learned that the brain controls our whole body. Okay, well that's good. But I want more, I would like more broad learning, not so specific. So I would like you to say things like, I learned how important all the systems of our body are, or whatever. But you can get specific after that, but you want to start general. Because without our circulatory system, our blood wouldn't transport all the nutrients to our cells. And without the nervous system, our heart wouldn't know to pump. And without, you could do that. You don't have to do the withouts. But do you see how I'm being general so that I can try to explain my knowledge of the systems? So if you can be general, that would be good. Matthew, did you want to say something or no? You good?
Yeah, well, like, would general be like, I learned about the digestive system and stuff?
That would be too general, because now you haven't told me anything. Kiddos, that's a great question. Matthew said, can I say I learned about the digestive system? Well, that wouldn't prove me that you learned anything. But telling me a fact doesn't prove to me much either, though. Do you see how those are two extremes? Being too general and too specific doesn't show me knowledge. When you come to the middle and you start general and you get more specific about that general thing, that shows some really good skills. Do you understand that that's hard, but that's what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Okay. Last step, kiddos. Step 4. Answer one or more of these questions. What can you do to improve your learning now that you've finished this unit? What can you do now to improve your learning so that you continue to get smarter in this area? Or, if you think you've already learned so much that there's no need, you could answer the question of how will you extend your learning past what is expected? So let's say I learned everything Mr. Solars wanted me to learn. How are you going to learn more past what's expected? So kids, I can tell you, our human body unit, we just got a taste of what we need to learn. You're going to learn a ton more in life. That one should probably be, what can I do to improve my learning? I've got a lot more to go when it comes to human body. We only touched on it. We only learned a little bit about each system. But Oregon Trail, we beat that one. We really, really learned a lot. I don't know that there's a ton more to learn. We really know a lot about the Oregon Trail, except maybe the end, because we haven't gotten there yet, right?
Yeah.
But I think we know what pioneer life was like. I think we know what problems they faced. I think we know how they interacted with Native Americans. I think we know a lot of really cool, amazing things. So how can we extend that to learn even beyond it? All right? That would be the challenge. You already know what Mr. Solars wants you to know. How can we know even more? All right, Charlie?
If when we're white lighting, can you keep that up?
Yeah, I'll leave this up. Okay, so kiddos, that's the gist of my lesson. At the bottom, I've included some transition words or phrases that you could use. The description has no transition words or phrases. It's just tell us what you did. Not even what you learned, just what was it. We learned about the Oregon Trail and how they interacted with Indians and blah, blah, blah. Step 2, look at meaningful, significant, important, relevant, useful. Do you see where I stole those words from? Did you see, I guess I stole the other ones from another one. Step 3, this is like how we describe our learning. Step 3. And then step 4, they didn't have a step 4. I created the step 3 and 4 and kind of separated them out. Okay? Yeah, kids, you don't need any of this, but this is all the information that I found. Remember how it's rude to not give credit to the sources that you take information from, right? Right, everyone? Don't we give credit to sources we take information from?
Yep.
So I've put on the websites that I use to get my information. All right, so I'll put it back to where we were, and then we'll get you on your skill drill.